we really blended purpose and values and goals, and we made sure that everybody's values were represented in the Gold Medal Excellence Plan. It wasn't just Kerri and I, and the boys would just fall in behind.
Yeah.
They had to make sure that their values were represented as well.
Yeah.
And when you buy in at that level, and you do that at a business level too, and a board level, or your CEO and your leadership team, then it's pretty hard to stop. You're prepared to, back each other in when maybe you're not 100% on the direction they're going, but if they are, you back each other in.
In this episode of The Little Black Book, I'm joined by entrepreneur, professional speaker, coach, 5-time Olympian and gold medalist Natalie Cook. Nat's success started with a dream, passion and sheer determination. A visionary in every aspect of life, sport, business and relationships, she's the only athlete, male or female, to compete in all 5 Olympic Games in beach volleyball since the introduction of the sport at the 1996 Games in Atlanta. She is also the first Australian female to compete in 5 consecutive Summer Olympics in any sport. Aside from her sporting achievements, Nat is a highly sought after motivational speaker in the areas of leadership, motivation, team building, resilience and courage. She is a published author, professional coach and the current ambassador and consultant for the 2032 Olympic Games in Brisbane. In this episode, Nat talks about the impact that the famous words spoken by Yoda in Star Wars, "Do or do not, there is no try," had on her in her early development as an athlete. She discusses her own brand of crazy and how important being comfortable in doing the extremes was to her success. Nat shares her experiences in goal setting and how her full immersion in her Gold Medal Excellence Plan brought focus and a clear sense of direction for her and her playing partner, Kerri. Nat talks about her transition into business and how she has surrounded herself with coaches and mentors that have guided her journey, and shares about the importance of truly understanding what it is that you love doing. Because in the dark, difficult days of struggle in life or business, this will provide you with a guide to help you keep going. Welcome to The Little Black Book, a podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs who provide their first-hand experiences to help others learn and grow. This podcast is brought to you by Altitude Advisory. Altitude Advisory is a modern business advisory firm helping business owners build a better business for a better life.
Hi, I'm Natalie Cook, 5-time Olympian, gold and bronze medalist in the sport of beach volleyball, and thanks for joining us in The Little Black Book.
Favourite movie of all time, Nat?
Oh, there are so many. I am a Star Wars trilogy fan.
Wow.
As my most famous learnings came from Yoda and Luke Skywalker.
Okay. Any particular learning that you've taken with you?
Well, my favourite scene was when Luke raised his spaceship out of the swamp, and the effort, and then Yoda coming in and lifting it up. So the learning of there is a way, there is always a way, even when you think it's impossible. And of course, the famous saying, there is no try, there is only do.
Yeah.
So that is something I'm trying to teach. There you go.
Yeah.
We get stuck all the time. That's something that I will be teaching my 5-year-old daughter. There is no try, there is only do.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. What about a book that you read as a child or a young adult that had a real impact on you, and why?
Very clear book for me was Dan Millman's Way of the Peaceful Warrior.
Okay.
And it was a fable around his story as a trampoline world champion.
Right.
And he had a series of coaches, mentors, teachers that he rolled into one character called Socrates. And it really taught his journey as an athlete through all the ups and downs, injury, lack of money, how the coaches in his life helped shape him in his future. So for me, that was my first self-help book. It was my first personal development book.
Yeah.
And I give it to everybody now. And then he made it into a movie with Nick Nolte. So it's pretty famous, and Dan Millman's gone on to write about 25 books. So something very, very special. I encourage everyone to have a read.
Yeah, I haven't read that, but I'll definitely look that up. I'll put that on the list. One of the things about these interviews is I'm finding out about a whole lot of books that I've never heard of before that go on the list and find their way to the library. So this is very cool. What about a travel experience? I know you've done tons of travel, when you were competing and other bits and pieces, but is there any particular trip when you were growing up or even when you were touring that had a real impact on you in terms of either your professional career or, post-career in terms of business?
Yeah, like you said, 20 years as an Olympian and traveling the world, many different beaches, many different big cities. We didn't always play on beaches. We played under the Eiffel Tower in Paris. We played beside a harbour in Norway. We played in Stade in the Swiss Alps, which is a 5-star ski resort.
Yeah.
I used to love my time going to Stade. I think I played 20 years in a row. And one of the special things about that is you're in altitude, in the mountains. Roger Federer and the ATP would come in and play about 3 or 4 weeks before us, and then they would put sand on top of centre court and the beach volleyballers would roll in.
Yeah.
The cows would come down the centre street and you'd hear the big bells, and the prize we won in Switzerland was a big cowbell. And you'd see the green fields, and then you'd look up to the mountains and you'd see snow. And so it was pretty special to be playing in that environment. But the moment that makes it even more special is about 3 years ago, I ended up going to Switzerland for a sabbatical.
Yeah.
A year and a half, spend time where the International Olympic Committee is, and I wanted to learn how to ski because as a beach bum and a beach volleyball player, skiing was really the furthest thing from my mind. So the place that I learned to ski was Stade in the 6-star ski resort.
Wow. And
it was really special to be skiing down that mountain knowing that I played beach volleyball just at the base of it for 20 years of my life. So amazing.
It's amazing in those countries how they sort of flip between summer and winter. That they're full on skiing in winter, and then when it's summer they'll be playing tennis, or the golf courses open up, or they'll do mountain biking. I always find that quite fascinating how they have these really two distinct areas or time zones that they play in, and how the sports environment changes in each. So now I want to touch on your Olympic journey. Now I've heard you talk about this a few times, and it's just a fascinating story for me on focus and discipline and the way you, I guess, attack your approach to winning a gold medal. Can you share that story and just share some of the secrets with our listeners about the behaviours and disciplines and things like that you put in to manage to achieve then what you did?
Well, to be the best in the world at anything, whether it's sport or business or music or arts, you have to be a little bit crazy. So I was prepared to be crazy maybe a bit more often than normal. One of the things we came across in our search to be the best in the world was a guy called Kerri Ashley. Now, he was a world record firewalker and a success coach. So he was all about living your life at a level of excellence and gold standard that no one else could ever question.
Yeah.
So how you made your bed, how you brushed your teeth, how you made your sandwiches, how you made lunch. Like, it was a level of excellence that was therefore carrying over to the court really easily. It wasn't about, I'm going to be, a sloth of a person, and then when I step out on the beach volleyball court, I'm going to try and be the best in the world. So one of the things he got us firewalking and glass walking and tandem parachuting and rock climbing blindfolded. But one of the most interesting things was surrounding ourselves with gold, right? So if you want something in your life, which for me it was an Olympic gold medal, I had to literally, not just energetically, but literally surround myself with things that were gold. I had gold sheets, gold car, gold sunglasses, gold boxer shorts, gold Ugg boots, gold bikinis. Everything in my life was gold. And if it wasn't, I'd paint it gold or I'd stick the word gold on it. I even washed in Palmolive gold soap. So you could smell the gold. Every time I washed myself, I would sing Advance Australia Fair, because ultimately when I got on top of the podium, that's what we were there to do, sing Advance Australia Fair. So what that tended to do, and now people listen to that and they might go and do one thing that's gold, but missing the point. It's immersion. It's immersion and surrounding yourself with all of the messages of gold, and it tends to seep in via osmosis.
Yeah.
So there was absolutely no way that we were not going to win a gold medal, Andrew. That it was all set up, but that was definitely probably one of the craziest things that, especially when I tell them I washed in Palmolive gold soap, they all think I'm crazy.
So, and yeah, that's interesting because, you had a long-term, partner with Kerri, and I'm curious, did she do the same stuff?
Well, ironically, we split up after our bronze medal and I found the success coach. So I was sitting in a seminar that we all go to for anyone that's trying to better themselves. It was called The Hour of Power. And this guy, Kerri, stood up and said, nobody remembers who comes second or third at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And I just won my bronze medal.
Yeah.
So, and Kerri and I just split up.
Yeah.
So it was about that time where I said to him, I want you to take me to win a gold medal in Sydney, and I'm happy to do whatever you tell me to do. I was a pretty good student.
Yeah.
I was very coachable.
Yeah. I
think that's one of the keys to being the best is you have to be coachable and you have to be able to take direction.
Yeah.
Not without the little frictions and tensions and questionings, but I was really coachable. So Kerri had gone to play with somebody else. So I started this journey by myself.
Yeah.
I started it with another beach volleyball partner, doing the fire walking and learning about myself and learning about how to deal with pressure and which actions to take under pressure instead of the off ramps, how to stay and forge my way through the fire.
Yeah.
Literally, fire walking, right? So I did it all on my own at that point. And then Kerri was watching, always had the evil eye on me to make sure she could keep an eye on what I was doing so she could try and beat me.
Yeah.
But then at one point she realised that because I was 10 years younger, I was going through a learning, development, growth, hormonal, all of those things. She realised that we'd be better if we were back together.
Yeah.
So there was a call made, a bit of a long story, but at the end of the day, we realised we'd be the best team together.
Yeah.
But I said to her on one condition, you come and do all my crazy stuff. And she was a bit hesitant, and some of it, she opted out of. But we definitely did the fire walking together and the blindfolded rock climbing and glass walking. We did a lot of it together. And in the end, our room, as we were preparing for Bondi Beach, was surrounded with gold. Everything was gold. So she bought into that bit.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. I'm interested just to explore this a bit. And, you play in pairs in the beach volleyball circuit and professionally and in the Olympics and things like that. And so the bond that you have with your teammate or your partner has to be incredibly, close and tight. I want to just explore in the context of, I guess, teamwork in business is how do you go about developing that level of trust so that, I guess you can, progress to the heights that you guys did?
Yeah, for us, I think it started with the clarity of the goal and the vision and understanding where we were both going. Now, it was pretty obvious that the gold medal was where we were heading, but there were many, many roads to get there.
Yeah.
And I guess what we were trying to sign up to, not just Kerri and I, but we had Kerri, our success coach, we had Phil, our strength and conditioning coach, and we had Steve Anderson, our volleyball coach. So there was a time where it was the five of us that had to be in this inner sanctum and had to have this trust. So we spent a lot of time on what we called our gold medal excellence plan.
Yeah.
And it's like going away for a business retreat. We put all of our values up. We put our purpose up. We put our code of conduct up. We had our winning way, which is more technical. Some of the technical aspects of volleyball, serving strategies, serving percentages, side out percentages, things you had to do in the game. But we put that around an Olympic rings model, A3 colour. We had a logo. We were called the Dream Machine. We had a motto. It said it all starts with a dream. We signed it for accountability. So we really blended purpose and values and goals, and we made sure that everybody's values were represented in the Gold Medal Excellence Plan. It wasn't just Kerri and I, and the boys would just fall in behind.
Yeah.
They had to make sure that their values were represented as well.
Yeah.
And when you buy in at that level, and you do that at a business level too, and a board level, or your CEO and your leadership team, then it's pretty hard to stop. You're prepared to back each other in when maybe you're not 100% on the direction they're going, but if they are, you back each other in. A bit of forgiveness is really important too, a bit of compassion. If things don't go to plan and sometimes the wheels fall off, you get a few speed wobbles, the compassion and the forgiveness is really important. We're too hard on ourselves. As I said to Kerri, and I tell all the kids when I teach kids volleyball, if they make a mistake on purpose, it's the only time they're allowed to say sorry.
Yeah.
So otherwise, we're all doing the best with the skills and tools we've got. As long as we know the direction, we've got a clear clarity of purpose, we're all good to go.
Yeah. No, look, I reckon this, that's just a great story in terms of just your plan. And, I talk about with a lot of my clients and business owners that I coach about that, that one-page plan that you've got, your gold medal excellent plan, which starts with your core beliefs and your vision and your values and the behaviors that represent that. And it goes right down to the basic tactical things that you need to do, like, you said, your serving strategy. I think it's so interesting that the application that, the way you guys applied it in sport is exactly the same what business owners need to apply in business. It's just so transferable. It's crazy.
Yeah, and Andrew, I think one of the keys to it is simple.
Yeah.
We try to overcomplicate it sometimes. We don't need to do that.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but it is simple. The simplicity is really key because you're allowed to keep coming back then to your guiding principles. We had a guiding principle question, one question in the center of our gold medal excellence plan, in the middle of one of the Olympic rings that said, how do we make it better?
Yeah.
And so even when I felt like I hit the perfect spike, I would ask myself, and how do I make it better?
Yeah.
And my whole job was to what we would call better the ball, to get the ball in a better spot than when I received it, to make my partner look good. So if you're constantly in that mind frame of how do I make it better for my workmate, or how do I make it better for the other board members, then there is never a time that it can really go pear-shaped because you're always about supporting others, uplifting others, and trying to make it better. Now, of course, doesn't always work, doesn't always win you the point, but your intention is always there to make it better. And that is something that you can back every day of the week.
No, 100%. And I love your language there because you're talking about not being the best. You're talking about making it better. And I think, best is such a nothing because, compared to what? But a reference point around, just improving as you go, how do we run that strategy better? Or, if we do that, does that make it better? And, your training and all that sort of elements. I just love the language around that. Now, just on your plan, I am just curious, did you keep it? So is it laminated? Is it is it framed on a wall at home, or did we get to the podium in Sydney and then it just disappeared?
No, it is absolutely laminated. It goes with me everywhere. It's in my slide deck when I present to companies, and we talk about the plan and we talk about having it on one page. And I also talk about having it up on the walls, behind the toilet doors, on your phones, on your computer screens, to be able to see it, a bit like the gold theme at the start.
Yeah.
Via osmosis, even if you don't physically stand there and read it every day, the Olympic rings or the logo or the motto just seeps into you a little bit more every single day. So it's not framed. What's framed is the outcome of gold medal excellence, which is a picture of us on the podium achieving our Olympic gold medal. Yeah. But it's something very special, and we do share it with everybody that wants to hear it. Yeah. And it's been a roadmap for success, not only for me on the court, but off the court. Yeah. I've followed the same principles for the last 21 years of my life, and I think I'm still winning.
We talk about your successes here, but, success doesn't come with, and I'm going to say failure is not the right word, but it doesn't come without setbacks. So can you talk us through some of the obstacles or setbacks that you had, along the way, and how you battled through them and overcome them?
Well, the obvious ones are injury. That's really tough on a team of two with no substitutions. It's not like basketball where you can just he's hurt or she's hurt and take them off and get a new one on. So if I'm hurt, then Kerri can't play. And if Kerri's hurt, I can't play. So injury is quite not only a physical injury, but the mental and emotional pressure to come back. So that's one. Losing is the other obvious one that is difficult to come out of the emotion, which is what you've got to train. You've got to come out of the emotion and look at it objectively and continue to ask that question. How do I make it better?
Yeah.
Right? Because if you sit in it too long, you'll make it worse.
Yeah.
So you've got to have your emotional outburst, whatever that's going to look like. And some days it lasted longer than others. And other days I could get over it quite quick and learn the strategies that come out of that.
Yeah.
So in the business world these days, and especially with entrepreneurs, we talk about failing forward and we talk about failing fast.
Yeah.
You'd rather fail fast if the thing's not going to work and get on to the new thing. So they were the two tough ones, injury and losing. Partnership switches were difficult. Kerri retired and I had to find a new partner in Nicole.
Yeah.
And then Nicole retired as well with major injuries. And then I found a new partner, Tamsin. So it was always a challenge to recalibrate and find the new gold medal excellence plan because they needed to do it a different way too. We needed to go through it. I couldn't focus on making it what it was with Kerri.
Yeah.
And I had to move through new phases of my life, which is what happens in business, right?
Yeah.
You can't think, I had this unicorn awesome moment and I want them all to be like that. They're all going to be different.
Yeah.
You never step into the same part of the river twice.
No, correct.
Right? The river is always flowing. It's always moving. It'll always be different. So I just managed to keep forward focused. I'm a very big forward focusing person.
Yeah.
And under the Anthony Robbins strategy of towards my goals rather than away from.
Yeah.
So I used to always remind myself, just keep looking forward, just keep taking the next step forward. Even if it was a little step, keep taking a step forward.
Yeah.
And if you can't take a step because you're injured or it's too difficult, then just lean.
Yeah.
The lean strategy, Andrew, is a good one because if you lean far enough, you'll take a step.
Step forward. Was there ever a time, Nat, where you felt like it was enough and you just felt like just throwing in the towel and quitting?
Yeah, there was definitely moments and then there were days where I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. After my 2004 after Athens, I had a shoulder injury and I needed a year off to recover.
Yeah.
And I was really focused on coming back. I wanted to play again in 2008. So I made sure I stayed distracted and did all my exercises and had something else to focus on. I had a business. I started to learn more about business. And then when I finished 2008, so I got back and I got my goal and I was we didn't achieve what we wanted to achieve on the court. And I thought I need another year off emotionally this time to see if I can go to a record performance of 5 Olympic Games.
Yeah.
During that year off, there were many times where I thought, I could stay retired. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And when I came back, so 2010, I spent the year wishing I'd never stopped.
Right.
Because the pain in restarting something was very, very difficult. So my advice on that after living it was never go from 10 to 0, always go from like 10 to at least a 4.
Yeah.
And so you never have to start from scratch again.
Keep a base. I'm interested in, when you felt like that, when you were in the pits and you said, okay, there might be enough, was there anything that you did or any of your coaches or anything like that helped drag you back into a different mindset, or was that all just self-driven and you woke up one day and slapped yourself around a little bit and said, no, this is enough of this, I've got to sort it out?
I mean, coaches are so important. They tend to hold the space, and my partner Sarah holds the space a lot too. That she's a life coach and she does that. She would never crawl down into the pity hole with me, and she would always stand up on the top and put a hand out and say, come on, the air's better up here.
Yeah.
And I go, no, come down and help me. And she's like, no. So really she held a space, and so does the coach, of belief that you're to be the better version of yourself.
Yeah.
So whenever it's difficult, it's, I'm not in my best version. We talked about getting better.
Yep.
I'm not in my best version of myself when I'm feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah.
So I got really good at finding distractions to get me out.
Yeah.
So Keurig used to say, what do you want to do that's fun? I'm like, nothing's fun. When you're in that mood and everything hurts and nothing's going to plan, nothing's fun. You can't even think about what you want to do.
Yeah.
So you have to identify what's fun when you're actually in a good mood.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you're trying to find fun from a feeling sorry for yourself place, it'll never happen. So I identified go-karting. I would actually go and go-kart. Now, someone like you, Andrew, you might go and drive a Porsche or a fast car, but I've got a go-kart that my go-to.
Yeah.
That I just feel this need for speed, and I just would go around the corners and just feel the G-forces, which is almost like that pressure we get on court. And it was just a fun way of releasing any of that. So find something to distract you. Find something also to turn your attention on that you can get better at, because it kind of crosses over. If you're getting better in another area of your life, then it'll drag you out of the hole somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I always had people to help me, but I did ultimately slap myself around a little bit and say, come on, get over it, which didn't always work.
Yeah.
Some days it did. Again, I go back to this compassion. In hindsight, it's compassion for yourself, and it's okay to have a day off. It's okay to have a sit down and a rest. It's okay to watch a bit of telly.
Yeah.
And it's okay that it's not always going to go to plan.
Yeah. I love I guess your insight there that, you can't find what you enjoy or having fun when you're, when you're miserable. And I think that is an absolute pearl of wisdom that you've just given us, because a lot of people at the minute, with everything with lockdowns and COVID, and their businesses are struggling and hospitality venues are locked down and they can't travel and do other bits and pieces. And so they can either wallow in that, or they can identify back what, the things that they enjoy and get a list of stuff that they love doing and go and find a way to get out of their funk when they start to feel it. And I reckon that's a really good pearl that you've shared with us there. Keep a list of stuff that you like to do when you're doing it, so that when you don't feel like it, you've got a reference point. So
absolutely. It's the same with your relationship for your partner or your business partner, right? When we're having a fight, it's really hard to think about something they do good.
Yeah.
So have that list on the fridge, or have it at work when your business partner's annoying you and you're like, oh, I have to remember that he or she's really good at that. And that's what I love about them. Yeah,
they're not so shit after all. So, no, that's really cool. Now, post-sport, you've gone on and become incredibly successful in the corporate space as well, but, as a speaker, as a wellness coach, and just as a general, business owner and entrepreneur. So tell us about the transition out of sport and into corporate life, and how that's worked, and, I guess some of the parallels and things that you've enjoyed about doing that.
Well, I think, fortunately or unfortunately, it depends which way I want to look at it. There's two sides to every coin. I was in a sport that didn't make much money.
Yeah.
So what that did was made me realise I had to find another way to make money, to not only fund my beach volleyball, but to also fund my life and my lifestyle and build a security for the future. So as an athlete, there's no superannuation, there's no guaranteed income or salary. It's all determined on how you perform. And once you stop performing, it stops.
Yep.
So what that made me do was sort of sit and look at a second career, a second plan. And I thought it was going to come in the shape of building a beach volleyball centre and having people play beach volleyball at $15 a head. But clearly, that's not going to make me a lot of money. It just made me a lot of pain trying to learn about HR and finance and governance and staff and money and like it just was. But it taught me what not to do, probably more than what to do. So my successful career was in corporate speaking.
Yeah.
And I have been doing that for 25 years and love it. Love sharing the story through messages and helping others achieve their gold medal goal. And if you, not for Olympians, but just for what's the highest pinnacle for you in your life. So I do that corporately. And then more recently, the new dream for me has been amazing in bringing an Olympic Games to my home city, Brisbane, and Paralympics. So with the Premier, the Lord Mayor, the Prime Minister, and John Coates, who's the President of the Australian Olympic Committee, I was the athlete at the table helping to sell the dream to the world about why they should give Brisbane the host city rights. So it's just been amazing. We are officially a host city. We've got 11 years ahead to make sure we get the city and the region right, not only for the international athletes coming, but for the tourists and for business and for economy. So I just, again, forward-facing, Andrew, that's the message. I made sure I looked to the future and I built the plan and I built the road. It was rocky, it was curvy. It didn't go in the direction it was supposed to go in a lot of the time, but I just kept laying the pavers. And eventually I got to a spot where I'm now so excited about the next 11 years of my life and how I can make an impact and an influence on the next generation of athletes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting now that you're on that path, and I reckon it's so exciting for Australia, as a whole, but particularly for Brisbane and for you guys that have been directly involved in getting this. It'll be interesting because your daughter's now 5. So she's we're talking. She's just off to school now. That this is going to be really interesting to see how the dynamic of the balance between what I'm sure is going to be a huge amount of work for you in terms of getting all this sorted out over that time, and then the balance in parenting and the impact that has on your daughter as she grows up as well. Have you had any thoughts about how you're going to tackle that?
Well, I think if there's one thing that COVID has helped with, now I'm from Queensland, we've been very fortunate, and my heart goes out to the New South Wales and Victoria that have had big lockdowns and the rest of the world. So I think for me, COVID has enabled me to spend more time with my daughter, and the ability to have flexible working arrangements has enabled me to walk her to school and pick her up from school. And so she continues to have a lot of time with me. We didn't put her into care. I made sure family was my highest value since she was born.
Yeah.
And so now as she went to school, I had to release. It was more about me letting go of sending her to school. And as we know, most parents have to go through, and I've only got one, so it's even harder to let go because there's not another one coming through the system, right? So I make sure I spend enough time with her. I know when she says, "Mom, can I play with the other little person?" she's had enough of me. So it's really important. It's one of my highest values. And so that will be balanced after work, and make sure I do my yoga at 5:30 in the morning. So get out of bed while she's still in bed, do my yoga, and I'm ready to go and embrace her for the day. So it is a difficult balance. I understand now when people say, "Oh, it's difficult with kids and balancing life," because I'm in the middle of that myself. But it's all about prioritizing, and it's not always easy and it doesn't always work. But as long as your intention is clear and you keep holding on to the intention, then I am a firm believer that it'll all work out nice and golden.
No, that's really cool. You're super competitive. You described yourself as part crazy right at the start of our chat. What do you do now in terms of, I guess, fueling those competitive juices? Like, is it still go-karting? I know you love a hit of golf. What is it that keeps that, competitive spirit alive?
Well, I was just playing tennis this week with a group of friends, and it's in the heckling.
Yeah.
Not so much my tennis isn't good. It's in the heckling that is at the adrenaline rush. Because I feel like then you have to perform after you heckle to a level that's acceptable.
Yeah.
Maybe that doesn't always happen. So I love heckling. I love heckling at golf. I love heckling at tennis.
I've seen that firsthand.
I've really found that business, doing deals in business, and for me a deal is not necessarily financial but a relational deal.
Yeah.
So connecting and leveraging and collaborating at a very high strategic level has been something that's really like an adrenaline rush for me. When I get people in high places that usually don't connect or do things together because they compete, getting them to play in the same sandpit has been really a great adrenaline rush for me.
Yeah,
so
cool.
I know we can't do anything. We're way more effective together. So the Olympic Committee's 3 words or their slogan was higher, faster, stronger.
Yep.
This year through Tokyo, they've added together.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in that the best way to get the greatest outcomes is to do things together. So that's where I get my adrenaline rush now. When I take other athletes with me to functions and I expose them to opportunities that they might not have had the opportunity to do on their own, and seeing them grow through that is something that is pretty awesome.
No, that's really cool. Do you have a life motto?
Well, on the bottom of the Gold Medal Excellence Plan, it says it all starts with a dream. And every day, I mean, I see my daughter dreaming about things. It might be a bit cliche, a bit corny, but it's on the back of a tracksuit top from Atlanta.
Yeah.
It all starts with a dream. And that's what I live by. And I know that the Brisbane Olympics started with a dream 6 years ago, and there'll be dreams born from the Tokyo Olympians' inspiration that will allow our athletes to continue to be great. So I believe in the dream. I believe in athletes seeding dreams. I believe in everyone achieving their dream.
Yeah.
You just got to hang in there long enough and stay committed and build a team around you that's going to support you. So the short answer is it all starts with a dream.
That's really cool. You've had a lot of coaches over your time, obviously when you were, playing and so on. Have you maintained the discipline of having coaches and mentors in your post-sporting career, and can you share how you work with them?
I think it's really important. There is no way I would have ever gone to the Olympics without a coach. And let me tell you that life is way harder than the Olympics.
Yeah.
And we try and go through life without a coach. So a life coach for mental, emotional, spiritual balance and support is important. Business was the hardest thing I ever did.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be easy. Like, how hard can it be to sell $15 volleyball games to people? It was so difficult to learn all about business. And so there was a time in my life where I didn't have a coach. I got tired of people telling me what to do.
Yeah.
Now, that's part of the wrong mindset. A coach isn't there to tell you what to do. It's to help guide and support and uplift and encourage and hold you accountable. So there was a period where I didn't have a coach, and I felt like I was flat. I felt like I flatlined. I'm now in the business world where I'm doing my company director's course. I have mentors. I have coaches all around me, and I'm really loving sort of tapping into different people's experiences.
Yeah.
Because I was a sport person for 25 years, so I had sports coaches. But it's really great to now have directors as mentors and female CEOs as mentors.
Yeah.
And I'm finding it really exciting to expand my horizons.
No, that's really cool. Nat, this has been awesome. I'm really grateful for you, making your time to have a chat to us. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, and look forward to hearing more of your amazing little black book. when I teach kids volleyball. If they make a mistake on purpose, it's the only time they're allowed to say sorry.
Yeah.
So otherwise, we're all doing the best with the skills and tools we've got. As long as we know the direction, we've got a clear clarity of purpose, we're all good to go. So if you were constantly in that mind frame of how do I make it better for my workmate, or how do I make it better for the other board members, then there is never a time that it can really go pear-shaped, because you're always about supporting others, uplifting others, and trying to make it better.